Welcome back to RotoMoto. It is hard to believe that the end is here. We are having the 9th race in Salt Lake City in the last 365 days, but this one is to decide the 2021 Supercross Championship. Unfortunately, the racing on track is not going to be incredible because all of the championships are all but locked out, but luckily for us fantasy players, fantasy doesn't care about things like that. My name is Donnie, and in this video, I will have 5 riders that I want you to look at when making your PulpMX fantasy picks for the final round in Salt Lake City 2. Tips for picking your FFLs, weather report, race day schedule, and even a very early look at what my team could be come Saturday. But before we get into all that, as always, we're going to review the last round stats and info in Salt Lake City 1. 10,705 total players, of which 6,248 were of the paid championship league. Total player base that was down slightly, but the champ league was actually up in players for only the second time this season. The perfect team for the night was the second highest of the season at 332 points, led by 352s, one of them coming from a 0 handicap and race winner Marvin Muskin. Add 30 points with 2 FFLs, and the highest possible win was 350. The most popular team, the sum of the highest pick trends, was only 193 as 2 of the most popular 8 riders failed to qualify in the main. Joe Shimoda pulled his first ever FFL in the 250 class, something that somehow 14 people managed to guess. Roxon pulled his 4th of the season, which was a very popular pick and now leads the class. The median championship score rose to 217, meaning if you scored 218 points or more, you did better than half of the paying field. Extra All-Star selection rises for the 3rd consecutive week, likely as people begin to play it safe to preserve leads to 2.58. 28 riders out of the 30 who were able to score double did so, meaning only 1 rider in each main managed to miss double points. I had one of those naturally. Another high 0-point pick trend total, with literally half of it coming from Wageman and Thurman alone, 2 of the 8 most popular picks on the night. In the RotoMoto League for SLC1, Topher Muss Prime led the night despite a big fat 0. He had Wageman, but also nailed all 352s for 288 points. DM912 just needs to avoid total collapse to bring home the title. 3,724 points on the season with a lead of 86 over 2nd place. I had a bounce back week finishing in the top 1,000. I missed 2 of the 52s and those 2 big zeros, but unfortunately I also had Lane Shaw, the only 250 rider to miss double points. My riskiest 450 team of all time, but 3 13 handicaps all made the main and totaled 112 points by themselves. The ins and outs list is pared down slightly with the combining of the coasts. Time Master Pool is not racing as he prepares for outdoors. Word in the pits is that Nate Thrasher is not lining up to prevent him from using up a year of eligibility in the 250 class. He's the only star guy not on the entry list, so that seems legit. Let me know in the comments how you feel about Thrasher sitting out in his rookie season, already preserving years of eligibility. Christian Craig will be absent after breaking his leg last weekend, and Chris Blows won't return after his Atlanta 3 crash. All of the other guys that missed the last 2 will miss again. Just be sure to check your picks against the cheat sheet before locking it all in. The 450 class may see Chiz and Bogle return, but at this point I feel like they are both suited to instead prep for outdoors. No major movement here, and there are also no 450 All-Star changes, but let's take a quick look at the 250 All-Stars for the shootout. The West will bring Justin Cooper, Cameron McAdoo, Hunter Lawrence, and Seth Hammaker as All-Stars, and the East will bring Jet Lawrence, Joe Shimoda, Colt Nichols, and technically the 4th is Christian Craig, but obviously he will not be lining up, so only 7 All-Star options for the 250s. All right, on to your SLC2 picks. I have 3 guys I want you to target, 1 to avoid, and a high handicap guy for you gamblers out there, starting with the little class, working our way up. The rider that I want you to avoid is coming first this weekend. Your 250 All-Star should be anyone but Seth Hammaker. The Pro Circuit rookie and only rookie of the 8 All-Stars is a 3 handicap, which is miraculously the highest of the bunch. But a top 4 has not come easy, even on the split coast. Only 4 of his 8 rounds this season have come that close to sniffing the podium, and all of those results involved a very good start and some chaos from the usual contenders. I never want a rookie All-Star to begin with, and I definitely don't want the guy that only has a 50% success rate against an even weaker field. A 250 rider that I do want you to look at is Michael Mosiman. A 0 handicap means he needs only a top 10, but that should be all but guaranteed for the Red Bull Gas rider. He has done so in all 6 of his main events this season and was in the top 5 in 7 of his 9 main events last year, including a podium in this very arena under these exact stipulations. That's right, Michael Mosiman rode onto the podium at last year's East-West, falling behind only Chase Sexton and Shane McElrath and edging out eventual West champion Dylan Ferrandis. Moving on to the 450 class, an all-star I want you to check out is Eli Tomac. The defending champion is now mathematically eliminated from the title, but he still wants that bonus money. Eli has finished in the top 5 in over 2/3 of his events this year in all 7 of his races in Salt Lake City last season. No one else has a better track record of hitting their handicap than Eli going into this weekend. If you're looking for double points in the 450 class, it is going to be a rough one this weekend. A total of 11 riders had their handicaps go down this week, and only 3 saw an increase. 2 of them are fringe main guys, so that leaves just 1 rider with a better handicap this week than last week that is also a main event lock. Joey Savacci. The Rocky Mountain KTM rider might not have huge upside. His best finish this year is an 8, something he has done 3 times, and that's only good for 32 points. But this week, I think the goal is to get 8 in the main and have them all hit double, and Joey should nail that. He looked spectacular all day last weekend in similar conditions and was running top 3 before falling early in the main. He dropped back to the mid-teens and still managed to charge back up to an 11th, which if he could do this weekend is still good enough for 26 points with the 1 handicap. The high handicap hero of the round, given to a rider with a handicap of 10 or more that I think has a realistic chance of scoring massive points for the weekend if you're the type of person that likes to sweat out a little LCQ for a big payout. For this weekend's Triple H, we are going back to the 250 class and looking at John Short. He's on the quote-unquote easy coast and is the 10th lowest handicap on that side, meaning he only needs to beat one of Varize, Carnell, or Schlosser to make the main straight out of the heat. And guess what? That is something that he did in 4 of 6 rounds this season. There are 4 rounds in which he beat all 3 of them, in fact. And even if he doesn't come straight out of the heat, he's a veteran that doesn't ride over his head, and he should be able to put that Barek Suzuki into the main from the LCQ also. The 250 FFO would likely come down to all-star bigs if not for Christian Craig missing. I still think they are the favorites though, with the premier horsepower in the class and a very, very long start straight before the first corner. I'm not even touching this one personally as I still have the entire outdoor season to play for, but if your season is wrecked or you're going straight for Supercross points, you might as well roll the dice here. The 450 side is a little bit more clear with Kenny nabbing his 4th in SLC last weekend, taking the sole lead on the season as the only guy with 4. But don't forget, the KTMs were money here last season, and I don't expect that to end. Cooper Webb might have the title all but wrapped up, but I can assure you he would rather be in the clear air in order to be in front of the trouble instead of possibly being caught in it. The weather is going to be perfect for a Saturday night race in Salt Lake, mid-70s all day during qualifying before dipping into the high 60s by the time the main event gates drop. Not a drop of rain in sight with the sun peeking through here and there, gonna be a great night to end a championship. The race day schedule is, I believe, the very first and only late one of the season, as the race will be a night race in Utah. Race day live will kick off at 4 p.m. Eastern, with the West Coast needing to tune in at 1 p.m. to catch race day live with Blair and Hubbard. The enhanced cheat sheet will hit Patreon about 30 minutes after qualifying at nearly 8 p.m., while the rest of you should watch Twitter and Instagram for the basic cheat sheets to drop around 8:30 or 9 Eastern. The night show kicks off at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific on the Peacock app and NBCSN with a live feed of the race. Full disclosure, I am hoping and planning to host the live after race program, but on top of it starting super late after 1 a.m. my time, I'm also getting my second dose of the Moderna shot. I have to be careful with what words I use here to describe it on YouTube or they will hate this video and not monetize it. And I just cannot guarantee that I will be up for it as the day goes on, but I should be able to make that call earlier in the day, hopefully before the night show begins. Before I show you my early team for SLC2, I just wanted to remind you that this is an entirely privateer operation. I research, write, shoot, edit, and post every single video myself, in addition to making the cheat sheets and other content I post on here, Twitter, and Instagram. If you want to support me and help the channel grow, please consider checking out some of the merch from RotoMoto.co, including our super rad Never Change AMA shirt that was recently featured on the PulpMX show. If you are serious about upping your fantasy game, consider subscribing to Patreon for access to an additional podcast for every single race, our private Discord server, and most importantly, the enhanced cheat sheets that are packed full of so much race day data, it'll make your head spin. And if you want to support but don't have the scratch to spare, the easiest way to help is by subscribing to the channel, commenting something constructive on the videos, and sharing the social media posts with your friends. My Thursday morning team will consist of Justin Cooper as my 250 All-Star. I had Colt last weekend, and I just want solid consistency here, and the rest of the All-Star class isn't exactly known for that. Michael Mosman, for the reasons given before, I expect a massive pick trend on him. Garrett Marchbanks for top 5 upside, and a guy wanting to redeem himself after the troubles of last round. And I have Pierce Brown at a 4 because of the massive upside, but I think he's going to be a bit of a trap, and I'm likely to switch him out come Saturday. On the 450 side, I have Justin Barcia at a 7 handicap because it is absurd to think Barcia will finish outside the top 8 here, and I don't like Jason Anderson because of his altitude sickness problems. Chase Sexton at a -3. I'm really going for just 8 in the main here, and I know his upside isn't much, but I'm looking for high floors, not high ceilings. Marvin Musquin also on that squad for the exact same reason as Chase, and Joey Savacci for the reasons we talked about before. Don't forget to follow at RotoMoto on Twitter and Instagram for qualifying insights, injury updates, stats and banner as the race goes on, and of course, those ever important fantasy cheat sheets. And if you want even more help making your picks, be sure to check out and subscribe to RotoMoto on Patreon for access to the enhanced cheat sheets chock full of more data than you can imagine to help you make those huge point picks. I want to give a shout out to the current Patreon supporters. This channel is made possible by good people like John D, Keith H, and Dane E. Thanks as always for watching RotoMoto. My name is Donnie. I will see you on race day.